Two people retire at 55 this year with the same $2 million, the same spending plan, and the same investments, same returns. One ends up with $1.4 million at 90, the other pretty much broke by 80. The only thing different between them is how their $2 million is split between three types of accounts and the 2026 rule changes that turn one split into a gold mine and the other into a trap. Mark and Dave both started at the same Fortune 500 company 3 days after college. Both grounded out at the same company for 33 years through 2000, 2008, and COVID. Both are now 55. Both have $2 million. And both really want out of their jobs. Look at the splits they have. Mark has $2 million, 50% in a Roth, 30% in a traditional 401k, and 20% in a brokerage. Dave's advisor told him to defer. So 90% of his $2 million sits in his traditional IRA, 10% in brokerage. Zero Roth. Same money, different fuel mix. I'm Jim Gardner, and 3 decades in this business. I've built hundreds of plans. I've watched which fuel mixes finish and which ones run out. What's about to determine whether Mark or Dave runs out of money isn't returns. It isn't the markets. It's the boxes they checked on their 401ks over the last 30 years. In 2026, 3 rule changes turned that fuel mix into a whole new game. TCJA brackets got extended. The Secure Act 2.0 forced high earners to put their catch-up straight into a Roth. And IRMAA, the Medicare surcharge that nobody warned you about, its base premium jumped by about 10%, and the income threshold shifted. Each rule bites at a different age. Each rule helps Mark. Each rule hurts Dave. Decade by decade, starting where retirement actually starts, in the bridge years. Both retire at 55 and both need about $100,000 to live on after taxes. Mark pulls from his brokerage first roughly 4 years worth of spending. He pays tax on the gains, but not on that principal. And when other taxable income is low, those long-term capital gains sit at about the 0% bracket. Yes, I said zero. Think of Mark's brokerage account kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It can do a little bit of everything. You control the timing. There's no MAGI footprint. And while he's living off the brokerage, he converts $50,000 a year from his traditional to his Roth and fills it up to about the 12% bracket. Tax cost is about $6,000 paid directly from the brokerage account. He keeps his MAGI low between $30,000 and $50,000, keeping his effective tax rate in the low single digits. Dave, his brokerage account is about 2 years worth of spending. Then it's gone. Every dollar from there on out comes out of his traditional IRA. To put $100,000 into Dave's pocket, he needs to pull out $130,000 to cover federal taxes, state taxes, and his top dollars are taxed at about 22%. Dave's traditional is a debt to the IRS that's been compounding in a glass case for the last 30 years. Now, of course, he didn't see it while he was still contributing. Quite honestly, very few people do. To live now, he has to smash that glass and pay that bill. That's the invisible cost. The bigger one, what couldn't compound for 30 years, doesn't show up anywhere. By 64, Mark's portfolio is around $2.1 million. Dave's still about $1.8 million. Same returns, same spending, but $300,000 apart based on tax architecture alone. And the bridge years are the easy part, because the real damage hasn't started yet. Hey, quick break here. If you're already running this on yourself, there's a free download in the description that walks you through this. It's my 2026 retirement bridge strategy, 3 rule changes, 1 Roth conversion flowchart, and the pre-retirement checklist I use with all my clients. Grab it before Dave's plan really starts to break. The link, it's down in the... You see, between retirement and RMDs at 73, there's a window. Earned income is low. Brackets are wide and exposed. And for Mark, it's the most valuable real estate in his entire financial life. Every year for 10 years, he converts $50,000 from his traditional to his Roth IRA at about 12% in tax. $60,000 in tax to move $500,000 from a tax-deferred account to a tax-free account forever. Hey, and once it's in the Roth, the IRS doesn't come back to tax it again. Quick, if you quietly suspected your tax-deferred 401k wasn't quite the gift it was sold, hit the like button. It tells YouTube to show this to others who might be interested. And the part that compounded before he retired, the Secure Act 2.0 says high earner catch-ups have to go into a Roth. Period. So his last working years, Mark was getting a Roth runway forced on him by federal law. Hey, the Roth isn't just an account. The Roth is control. The Roth says, I decided when I'd pay my taxes, and I paid it. The IRS doesn't come back a second time. And that's what Mark bought himself. Now, watch what Dave's stuck with. He's already pulling $130,000 a year just to live. You stack $50,000 conversion on top, and he's paying 24% in taxes, not 12. That math just doesn't math out. So his window stays shut for 10 years. But the taxes aren't the only thing that compounds. At 65, both go on Medicare. Same Part B, same Part D, same coverage. Same coverage, but very different premiums. Medicare doesn't bill everyone the same. They look at your modified adjusted gross income from 2 years ago. Above the threshold, they tack on a surcharge called IRMAA. It's billed every month for life. In 2026, the base Part B premium jumped by about 10%. Income thresholds got indexed up. But the surcharges are bigger now. They're percentages of a now larger base. Mark's MAGI never crosses that threshold. And Roth withdrawals don't count. His traditional draws are tiny after a decade of conversions. He's base rate Medicare for life. Dave's a different story, because once Social Security stacks on his traditional withdrawals, he lands in the IRMAA Tier 2. That works out to be about $1,200 a year in extra premiums from both he and his wife combined. Every year, if his RMDs run hot in his 80s, he pushes into Tier 3. Now that's $5,300 a year, forever. Your tax bill in retirement isn't fixed by your wealth. It's fixed by which checkbox you marked in your 401k over the last 30 years. And Medicare is sending Dave a separate bill for that decision every month for the rest of his life. And the worst is still yet to come. RMDs. At 73, RMDs kick in. The IRS forces money out of your tax-deferred accounts whether you need it or not. Mark started his traditional at roughly $600,000. After a decade of conversions, it's down to about $200,000. His RMD at 73, it's around $7,500 a year. He pays it from his traditional. Dave's $1.8 million traditional has grown despite his withdrawals. At 73, it's bigger than he started. RMDs force about $95,000 out the door before he decides what's for breakfast, plus his living expenses, plus Social Security. Stacking his income gets him to about the 24% tax bracket. Sometimes it's into the 32% tax bracket. Here's what's hard to swallow. Dave didn't lose $500,000 in taxes. He lost the equivalent of a fourth $500,000 because every dollar he overpaid in taxes was a dollar that he couldn't keep growing. Compound interest doesn't care about your 401k form. Dave hits zero somewhere in his 80s. Empty. Mark at 79 has about 1.6 million and still growing. By 90, Mark has 1.4 million, a meaningful estate after a full retirement of spending what he wanted to spend. Dave's been broke for almost 11 years now. 79, watching his last check bounce, realizing the math was set against him 30 years ago when someone said, oh, just defer it. So, what's the actual lessons learned? It's not what most people think. This is where I point to people that same checklist, the 2026 Retirement Bridge Strategy, the diagnostic version of what we just walked through. The link, it's in the description.
And it's free.
You know, most people hear diversification, and they think it means a bunch of different accounts. 8 401ks from 8 prior employers, 4 IRAs at 4 brokerage houses, a Roth IRA you just don't remember the password to anymore. Folks, that's not diversification. That's organizational failure. Mark and Dave have kept their money in one place. And if yours is scattered across a number of different brokerage houses and banks, your first job isn't picking buckets. It's finding out what you've got. Real diversification includes tax diversification. 3 buckets. 3 relationships with the IRS. Your brokerage account is your Swiss Army knife. It's flexibility. It's no Magi footprint. It's a basis you've already paid tax on. Your Roth is control. It's your money. It's no future tax. And the IRS just doesn't come back for a second dip. The traditional 401k is a debt to the IRS compounded in a glass case for 30 years. Useful as a tool to fill low brackets. Dangerous is a place your retirement lives. $1 million in your 401k isn't $1 million in your pocket. It's $1 million worth whatever bracket you're in when you finally start pulling money out. If this is the first time anyone's framed this for you this way, hit subscribe. Composition beats total every time. Dave and Mark proved it with the same $2 million. But you don't have Mark's split or Dave's either. You have yours. And until you run your numbers, you don't know which one you're closer to. Couple questions I need you to walk away with. What is your brokerage runway? How many years can you live off your taxable accounts before touching your tax-deferred accounts? What's your Roth conversion window? The years between retirement and RMDs at 75 times the headroom inside the 12% bracket or 22% bracket. What's your IRMAA exposure? When Social Security and traditional draw stack at 65, do you cross that threshold? If you don't know, that's the planning walk. And nobody's going to run those numbers for you. Not a 401k provider, not a target date fund, and certainly not who told Dave to defer for 30 years. Only gets built if someone sits down and builds it. I made a video on whether $2 million is even enough. The foundation question for retirement. It's linked up here. That's the one I'd watch next. And if you want a second set of eyes on your specific bridge, schedule a 15-minute call. No pitch, just a clear look at your bridge years. And don't let the boxes that you checked 30 years ago decide how your retirement ends. I'm Jim Gardner, and I will see you in the next video.